In addition, shows about or created by Latinx creators have been canceled. And all of us are in this room today. So, as well as the movies with Latinx cast, the entertainment industry knows that it has a problem. So, today's kick-ass panel is here to discuss what actions need to be taken to truly eradicate this problem. To begin the panel, please welcome back today's moderator, the co-founder of the Latinx House, Olga Segura. Woo! And a dear friend.
Bueno, sí. Camina.
How are we feeling? Yes, we're good. I'm really excited to having conversation these incredible actors, actresses. Please welcome. I mean, you've spent a little bit of time with her already. Julissa Calderon, actor, author, and entrepreneur. And Harvey Guillen, come up, actor. Y mi queridísima Mabel Cadena.
Bueno, sí.
How are you? Everything's good?
Good.
Yes?
Yeah.
Aspen Meadows, the mountains. It's fun, huh?
This is beautiful.
So happy to have you here, guys. This is really special. I want to start with, for the audience, tell us your last project. The last project that you have online or that you've done, or if it's a new project that you're just participating in, that is coming up, so they know. Let's start with that.
Should I start? I just wrapped season 2 of With Love that is on Amazon.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah. With Gloria Calderon Kellett. Yes, season 1 is already available to stream. You should check it out. And then before that, because we're talking about, Hollywood, Gentefied. You've probably seen me on that.
I love doing all those.
I'm a huge fan.
I'm in, next week is our season 4 finale of What We Do in the Shadows. Yeah, What We Do in the Shadows fans. And we have an animation film, Puss in Boots, The Last Wish, with Antonio Banderas and Salma Hayek and myself, coming out at Christmas.
Yeah.
I play Perrito, so if you look at a dog, that's me.
You can watch my 2 last projects on Netflix, Tense of 41 and The Asphalt Godness. And in November, you can watch Black Panther Wakanda Forever.
So Mabel flew from Mexico, and she doesn't live in Los Angeles. She lives in Mexico City, and she got casted for Wakanda Forever for one of the lead actresses. So representation right there. Comes out in October, right?
November.
November. Okay, so let's start with the questions. What did it mean? And this is really important. What did it mean to you to be seen for the first time, for the first time on TV and film? And why does this matter for us to be seen? ¿Qué representó para ti el verte en a lo mejor tu primera película, tu primera obra de teatro, lo que tú quieras?
It was amazing because I thought at that time my life is gonna change, but no, anything happened because when I finished the school, I received this call for participating in the first series in Mexico, Cappadocia, and I had an amazing character there, and I thought, oh well, my life is going to change, and I have a lot of opportunities in the future, and sounds great, the futures, and no, doesn't happen anything. To me, my ego was broke at that point, and I spent the next year without job. I have to learn another things, and at the same time, what was amazing because I have the opportunity to see a new way in my life as I made new strategies for my career, and I think that works because the third years I just work and work and work and work, and I'm really happy. But it was really hard because my ego was completely broken and my ideals doesn't exist. So
Yeah, but now, Mabel, seeing our community, seeing you, seeing us through you in Wakanda Forever is going to be very important. And I think that's what we need. Just like not just an actors, actresses, storytellers. We need our community to be seen, to get inspired, to dream, to do all of those things. So thank you for chasing that dream and continuing because it's really important. Harvey.
Yeah, I kind of relate to that, resonates with me because, my first film I did was for the HBO Latino Film Festival. And I got a lead, and I was never cast as a lead because I was always, el gordito, I was always queer, I was always Latinx, and those were always strikes against me that Hollywood told me. And once I realized that those weren't strikes, those were all my strengths. And once I flipped that narrative, is when I started working more because I was trying to do you just give me a chance, and they're like, not tall enough, not blonde enough, not blue-eyed enough, not six-pack, and it's like, and are you? And I was like, what? I'm an actor, And the idea was that I was trying to mold myself what you wanted me to be because you for so long control the narrative, you being Hollywood. And once I switched that and I said, no, this is who I am. I'm going to represent who I am. I'm not going to shy away from who I am. And those are my strengths. And the second I did that, I just let go and the work started coming in. And it just felt every time I book something, I always say I win the lottery because this industry is fickle. The highs are highs and the lows are lows. And after my first movie, I was like, everything's gonna change. And I was the lead, and it was called El Tux, and it was a story about a guy who gets asked to be a chambelán at everyone's quinceañera because he has his own tux. So he becomes everyone's chambelán, and I was like, look at me playing straight, playing a leading man, and I'm the love interest. And I was like, things are gonna change. Y nada pasó for a year. For a year after I didn't work, and I was crushed, and I was just like, what's going on? And I was like, and Becky G played my little sister. It was one of her first roles ever. And I was just like, and she was always a big supporter. And just looking back, I was like, that's because I was trying to fit that mold. Because you look back at history, we don't see ourselves walking the carpet. We don't see ourselves in Art Deco designer clothes in 1930s because even if we were, they weren't being told that they were Latinx. Like Hayworth or, all those old black and white actresses and actors, we were never being seen as that. So I started reclaiming that and thinking, well, we got to take it back, and just really kind of own it. So I walked the carpet 2 weeks ago in a 1930s outfit and be like, you're going to see me in a 1930s outfit in black and white. Yeah. And you're going to do it. But seeing myself on screen, it always makes me emotional because when I was little, I was told, that was an opportunity for me. There was no one like me on television. No one looked like me. And if they were always the butt of the jokes, El Ñoño and Chavo del Ocho, and they were always the butt of the jokes. And I was like, why can't they be taken seriously? And I was like, why can't they do a dramatic role? Like, oh, no, that doesn't happen. No, that never happens. And so I was really discouraging for me, and for many years I was discouraged. But I remember my mom, I was watching Annie when I was 6 years old, and I thought it was a TV show because we were poor and we didn't go to the theater. And I was like, what is this new TV show called Annie? And it was the movie from 1984. And I said to my mom, I was like, Mom, I want to be that when I grow up. I want to be an orphan. And she looked at me and she was like, ¿Estás loco? ¿Qué? And I was like, no, I want to be that. Oh, son actores. And I was like, I want to be an actor. And she's like, no, mijo, es para niños ricos. And I was like, you got to be rich to play poor on television? And I was like, that's what my psyche was like, what kind of fucked up shit is this? And I was just like, what? And it's like, and I was like, so it's like, no, lo que quiero decir es que you need like dance lessons, you need acting classes, you need singing lessons. Y no tenemos dinero para eso. And I was just like, and she saw how discouraged I was. Like, no, I didn't say you couldn't do it. I said, if you can find your own way, Miko, you can do whatever you want.
I love your mom.
And I found my way. So there
Un
you go.
aplauso para tu mamá.
Yeah, no, aplauso for my mom.
Mine too. I love her. To be seen, for me to see myself, I don't know. I think it was a very surreal moment. I think the first time that I saw myself like in like a bigger platform, the biggest platform was Gentefied, and it was different because this girl was like unapologetically herself, right? And she had this big ass curly hair, and she was a queer woman, and she just owned every part of it. And I was a Dominican playing a Dominican, and that's not common. Like, that is not what we see, right, usually. And that was a big deal for me. I think one of the biggest deals about that was the fact that, if you don't know, the role was actually made for a Mexicana. And I auditioned for it, and they were like, oh, no, she's not. She doesn't look like a Mexican girl. I was like, okay, duh, obviously. And then they were like, well, she needs to be also from East LA, and she has an accent. Her accent is not East LA, so she can't do it. And so a few weeks later, maybe even a month later, I got a call back, and I was like, well, I ain't changed overnight. Like, I'm still this girl. And they still called me in, and I went for it again. At this point, it was like a director session, I don't remember. And they passed on me again. And then they called again. I want to say maybe 3 weeks later, and my manager's like, I'm about to F up your world. Like, these people want to see you for a chemistry read. And I was like, what? They already said no twice. Like, why are they playing with me? This is crazy. And so we actually got someone to like talk to me so that we could try to like fix my accent to try to make it more East LA. And the day of the audition, I was like, or the day of the chemistry read, I was like, man, if I do this accent, I'm gonna blow this whole thing because I sound stupid. And so I went in there and I went as me. And I was like, look, they're gonna either like it or love it. Ya me dijeron no dos veces, so I don't care at this point, like, whatever. And so I think that was the biggest thing, right? It was like kind of like no pressure because you already rejected me twice. Yeah. I went in there, I did my thing, I left it all on the floor, and before I walked out, I think this is like a key thing. This is not just for any actor. I think this is just for anybody, right? It's owning who you are and speaking up. And so before I walked out, I was like, can I just say something? And usually you don't do that in these rooms. And they were like, sure. And I was like, I know this girl, Jessica, is supposed to be this East LA girl, Mexican, and I know that I'm a Dominican girl from the East Coast, but there's no one that's out there that's gonna play her like me. I will bring this girl to life and she's gonna be the best thing ever. I will work my ass off for her. I want this role.
I want to cry.
Mind you, this was all while I was crying. I was like, you know, I said that really strong right now, but the way that I was saying it. And they were crying too, watching me cry. But the scene required that, so I had just finished it. And I walked out with my head held high, and I knew that I left everything in there. But most importantly, I knew that I was speaking up for little Julissa and every little brown and black girl who hasn't seen themselves represented correctly. And I got a call a few hours later saying that I was going to be playing Jessica Castillo.
Yes.
And they rewrote her to be a Dominican girl from New York who moved to East LA. I think that is the win.
Oh my God. I'm like, I just got a little bit like teary over here. Because that's what we need to give our future. You know, my little daughter, just believe in yourself. Like, don't be afraid to be comfortable in your own skin. And you know, that's what we're doing here, so we can empower our friends and family after we get back and tell them it's okay to accept who you are and to accept your roots. Thank you for that. Okay, so there have been like countless reports about underrepresentation of Latinx actors in like TV film. Why do we continue to see the problem? I mean, from your own point of view, like, why? Harvey?
Well, there's a lot of why, I think.
Yeah, I know.
I think one of the things I notice is that when a show gets made and we rally and we show up for them, I notice that they don't get the same marketing that other stream shows do. And so when I'm walking, down the street and I see 6 billboards for, a network that majority does, Caucasian, leading shows, I see 6 billboards and I still don't see one that is Latinx driven. And that always blows my mind because for the percentage that we cover in America, we're very underrepresented.
Yeah.
But that money is there, and yet you're dividing it. And these 6 shows that I keep seeing on Sunset Boulevard keep getting these great billboards. So the money's there. There is money for billboards. There's money for commercials. There's money for radio spots. There's money for everything. Who's deciding who's getting this money? Because these shows are on your same network that TV show's on. That same show that we love, that's the Latinx show, is on that network. Why isn't there a poster opposite of that with that show? So my question is, who is in charge of that money, distributing that PR, all of that? That's where I think it starts. Where I think for so long we've been given, give him something, give him that, and we're like given the scraps and we should be thankful. We've been always programmed to be thankful to what we get, and it's like, no, I don't want to be thankful. You're gonna give me what I'm worth.
Right.
You're gonna give us what we're worth, and we should get just as much as that show did. What's the difference? Oh, because they're what?
They're white.
No, they're what? Say it. And then they're like, well, no, it's like because it's like a family show. We're a family show. Yeah, no, but this is like a family show. Okay, so that's a family, and this is no. What? Oh no. I'm woke. No. I have a friend who's black, and it's like, what? The idea that there's always a justification why not to give us the same respect and the same money always blows my mind.
Yeah.
When you're not given the same equality, or where microaggressions happen, where it's just like, even in a cast, and this happened to me in the past, where you're part of a cast and someone gets treated just a little bit different. It's like, this is a favorite nations. This is one nation
Yeah.
under Hollywood God, and you're gonna treat everyone the same. And it's just like, well, you gotta find your own place to put yourself up for if you're gonna do this project. That person didn't. You put them in a hotel and you get them per diem.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's, no, I don't know. Why don't you tell me? Why don't you tell me so I verbally hear it come out of your mouth and I can have that as reference and I can say, you quoted that and you said it and I can put it on paper. Oh, well, no, because that makes me look bad. That's because you are bad. So why don't we just put it on the table and we just can, dissect it from there. So I think the problem is that people at the top are being picky about who they give that distribution to. And I think we need to put people who understand our stories and understand our culture at those positions.
Yeah.
And we see less and less of them in those offices, in those, positions of power. So we need to elevate all of us. I always say when one of us succeed, it's a hat on one of our hat, or a feather on one of our hats is a feather on all of our hats. So I'm always like, let's support each other. Let's support this person who's on their way up to becoming a, producer and EP on this show. Let's support this writer. Let's support this actor. Let's support this musician. Let's support each other because we need them to be in the room.
And it does start at the top.
Right.
Like it trickles. Everything trickles down, because if you're telling me that all of the executives that are doing this show, this Latinx show, are white, what do they know about that,
Yeah.
right? For them to be able to push forward and say, we have to do the marketing because this doesn't make sense to this community. It starts at the top.
Yeah.
And we don't have enough people in power to be able to say these stories and say them correctly. Because here's the thing, this is another why. There's so many whys.
Yeah.
But another why is the fact that this white man from Ohio that is now an executive somewhere does not know the story of this Dominican girl from New York. And so how is he going to even like hire the right people and be able to say, yes, this makes sense. This is great. So now we're just hiring anyone and we're saying, oh, this person fits the bill because she speaks Spanish, but she's not the Dominican girl from the Heights that you're talking about. Like, it does not make sense. And so we're just sticking people in these positions, but it's not making sense to the people who are viewing it and are wanting to see themselves. So everything backfires, because then you don't watch because you're like, well, no, that doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
Our people are not like that. Well, because who's making this and who's doing it? And the people and it starts again with the people at the top.
And we can't let those things pass us too. Like, I remember an incident, even in the show that I'm doing now, where we're doing a scene with my mom, and they wrote, they asked first, because I asked him, what do you know about the household, a Mexican household, and to the writer's room. And they're like, and I was like, well, we would like to ask your opinion. And I was like, I'm more than happy, but it's also like, I'm more than glad to help, but it's also not my job to educate you.
Yeah.
But it's also, I'd rather be in that room and take my time off and go into that room and sit down to get it right than never live with myself and walk away and be like, it's not my job, you do it, you know? So I'm like, okay, it's not my job to educate, but I will step in and help out where I can. And so I stepped in and I was like, so we're at home, it's Christmas time, these are the smells that would be happening, this is what mom would be cooking, maybe I've been helping. And we did the scene, they wrote it, and they're like, the household, in the smallest little thing, was like making buñuelos. And I was like, okay, we're making buñuelos. And the day of we're shooting, they weren't Mexican buñuelos. They were Salvadoreño buñuelos. And I was like, which are delicious. And I was like, those aren't we're a Mexican household. Why would mom be making Salvadoreño buñuelos? Oh, well, I just Googled it. And I was like, what?
No.
They're like, well, I Googled, and the first thing they popped up, so I had these buñuelos flown in. You had buñuelos flown in to Canada because you didn't want to even ask the one actor, on set who's Mexican, hey, quick question. No, they flew these buñuelos, the wrong buñuelos, and I was like, I can't do this scene knowing those buñuelos are behind me. So I was like, get me a packet of flour tortillas, give me some sugar, give me some cinnamon, give me some canola or some mazola, and I literally made the buñuelos right before the scene.
Yes.
That's amazing, but you shouldn't have to do that.
Yeah,
There should have been a consultant, there should have been a writer, there should have been all
But that
the people.
that happens in Mexico too. So
Yeah. I know, but
You know what I mean? It's like I'm more than willing to do it, but it's not my job to do it. But I couldn't live with myself. And to this day, when I meet people, Latinx, audience members who come to the panels or our cons or Comic Cons with tears in their eyes, are like, I never seen anyone representing what I feel like at home. I'm Latinx, I'm goth, I like vampires, there's no world for me there. And seeing you, and I noticed in the background, were those buñuelos?
oh. No, but Harvey,
It was worth every minute making those buñuelos.
But I'm so like, this is music to my ears, because I'm so happy that you're so outspoken. Like, you really are claiming space in your set, and that takes courage. Because they always tell us that, well, we're giving you an opportunity.
People.
No, and terrifies
Yeah.
people. And I think that it's all about that. Like, and especially actors, you're claiming space because you guys are gonna deliver the narrative that is gonna be connected to the audience. That is gonna be like, I didn't see that. So thank you so much for doing that. And I totally agree. The executives, we gotta have more people in power. I was talking to Rafael Garcia from Disney, who are like sponsors, and who's an executive that has been working in Disney for 10 years. But can you really imagine how many things that he had to go through to get now into position? So we need to know who they are. We need you, like actors and actresses. So the Latinx House now is like, after this conversation with Rafa, we are gonna be promoting executives. So from each one of the different studios, we're partners with everybody. So it will be very easy just to like Kulisa, if you want to do a project, you need to know who is going to be able to listen to you, that is going to be connected to you. Even if it's not Dominican, but like a Latino that is going to be like, okay, this story needs to be told because we haven't done this. So I think that that's something that the Latinx House is going to start. And it was a birth of Monica and I thought about it, but this is an example of things that they're going to be, van a nacer aquí, ¿cómo se dicen? They're gonna be, it's the seeds. We're planting the seeds here And I cannot wait all the stories that you can share with us about the seeds that you are all going to be planted. So yeah, thank you for that. Mabel, so you Mexican immigrant, just like me, you get a role and you come here, which is completely different from Mexico or Latin America and all the work that you've done. How is that experience for you? Because it's hard. Like I'm a Mexican immigrant and I am a producer, but I'm always about like creating. I'm not stealing jobs. And there's a narrative of, us coming as well. Us that we're privileged, us that have the privilege because we have a visa, but also there's a narrative that, I don't know why, but there's a narrative that we are stealing jobs and we're not adding into the community. And I think that that's something that it needs to be spoken, because we need to, it's great that you had this role, but you're not American or a Latinx American. You're from Mexico. So I want to talk about that experience from you.
It was really hard because I never thought I had a opportunity to work on this movie. To me, the cast was like an exercise. It's like, well, because I didn't speak English at that time. I have a 1 year study every day. For right now, I could speak a little bit with us, and it was really hard because that was my first my first
step at the door.
Because when I realized I will go into be this movie, is like, well, but I don't speak English. How I'm work with my Spanish on set with my director. So to me was okay. I need almost understand my director. I don't want to speak a lot. I just need understand my director. Okay, and that was my first achievement. On set was like, okay, I'm feel really excited about. But it's really hard because when I was a kid, I never thought about this opportunity, and I have to cry to my child, my Mabel child, a lot, and ask and say sorry because I left my dreams because I never thought this was a change to me. I never thought about this opportunity because as a Mexican girl, as brown girl, as Latin girl in the USA, these things don't happen. The people say, "Hey, no, you don't look like a superhero. You don't speak English. How do you don't speak English?" I can understand that, and it's really hard. Can answer these things because I don't understand why I cannot answer these things. To me, working in the USA for the first time was crazy because I don't have answers to me. I don't have answers for other people. I don't have answers about why I don't believe in my dreams when I was a child. I am really comfortable to working on Mexico, and I was really happy working on set with my characters in Mexico. But this experience was amazing because the people was really lovely with me and really patient with my language and really patient, teach me a lot of things that I need to know because I don't know. And right now I understand what is happening in my life and what important is this to me and for the generations to come, because it's really important because I was that girl that I don't believe in me. And right now I feel with hope for my cousins, for my sister, for the other generations, because they have I want to believe they have more opportunities because we are ready. The Latin people is ready for take the job, but just need more stories, more narratives, more characters, more powerful characters because we are ready and we just need the opportunity for believe in us and for take these jobs and open more and more and more doors.
And thank you, Mabel. Thank you. I really, I want to talk about this because this is really important. I think that if we all come together and we forget about like, yes, you might not speak perfect English and you might not speak perfect Spanish, but we are a family. And we cannot forget that there's a lot of friends of mine that they don't speak like perfect Spanish because they were grown up in a community where they were the only Latina or they were the only Latinx, and they needed to like survive, like literally survive because, and then when you're a kid, you get bullied and you get like, you pertenecer, you want to like belong, you want to like always there's, especially when you're growing up, you're like, don't you remember? You're like, oh, they're doing that? That's cool. I want to do that, And so I think that I just want to invite everybody to be a little bit like kind to anybody from our community, to be kind. If they don't speak the language, be kind and try to learn, and try to empathize. Like even because even you don't know what that person went through, and especially here in the U.S. So and for Mexicans that come here like you and me, like now I speak a little bit, without an accent, but I still have an accent. And as a producer, it was hard and still hard, So I think that we need to come together. It doesn't matter if you're like Peruvian, Dominican Republic, from East LA, from New Yorican, DR, like it doesn't matter. We all need to come together. Imagine the things that we can do. Oh my God. Like all South America, Central America, coming together. We're doing it. We're doing it. Okay, Julissa, you're a published author. There are many folks in the entertainment industry who are authors, just like you. But the Latinx community is underrepresented in publishing overall. What are the consequences of failing to publish Latinx authors?
Oh man, I think it's kind of to like what Mabel just said, right? She didn't believe in herself as a little girl, right? So if we don't have that, those books, I think books are, from early childhood, this is what we're doing, right? We're reading. We have these books in school, you're given books, you're having like, I don't know if they do it now, but back in the day, we used to have like the fairs where you would go Scholastic and you'll go buy books and all of those things. And so what little girl and little boy are gonna, like, if they don't have us writing it and publishing our stories, I don't remember going to the bookstore and seeing all of the books that I saw out there with all of these last names that sounded like mine. Like, that's amazing. And for me to feel like I could do that too, and I could believe in myself, whether the story is similar to mine or not, but it allows these kids to kind of just even expand on their imagination, on everything and all of the possibilities. And so I am very grateful to be that. I think it was a tough process for me. I just felt like, well, this is a good idea, but can I do it? And can I execute it? And will people like it? And all these different things. And it's because you are not given the tools, right, on how to do that. For our parents, I think a lot of our parents, they were trying to survive. So they didn't have those tools to teach us how to thrive.
Yeah.
And I think that's on us now to do it and to understand that we can. All those dreams and all those little things that you think of in your head that you maybe cannot do, I always say God whispers different dreams in my ears. And he is literally telling me all of these ideas that come up, it's him whispering, like, tú lo puedes hacer. You could do everything, whatever you want. It's not just coming up in your head for no reason. There's a reason for it. So believe in it and learn. And I think one of the things is too, right? Like, I didn't know what to do and how to do it, I reached out to people. How can I even make a journal? Like, how would I do this? X, Y, Z. And I think it's using the people next to us and not always thinking, Issa Rae has said this, not always feeling like you have to climb and reach out up. We can also reach out across to our peers for help. How do you help me? How can I help you? How can we figure this out together versus let me go contact this executive because they're the ones that have the power? No, or this publishing house. No, how can you help me? Let's figure this out together. And I think, like you just said, when we do that, we're stronger.
Strong. I mean, I'm gonna take on what you just said. This is a great indirect recommendation to our audience and to the all Raizado members. Because it's what you just said, like, just go and talk to people. Like, even like right now, go and talk to your neighbor. Like, what are you doing? How can I help? Like, because incredible things can happen out of this like 3-day gathering. For you actors, I feel that it's really, I love what you're saying, like, yes, you can do it. And yes, I believe in you. But I wanna go back to this moment where there's fear. There's always fear because we're human beings, right? That's fear, and I want to be connected to that. Like, how do you manage that fear of that voice that is talking to you and saying, no, you're not gonna do it, and the other one, yes, you can do it. No, you are not gonna do it. They're gonna call you like da 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 da. So, give from your own experience one recommendation. How do you close those voices, because that will help anybody in this industry. Starting from like an idea, like how do I do this idea that I have? How do I become an entrepreneur like you do? So can you just give like one recommendation? How do you do that?
At least for me, I'm one of those people, I've always been that little girl. If you could ask my mom, like, oh, tú me estás diciendo que yo no lo puedo hacer? Okay, right? That's just always been my thing. Like, I think I thrive in that space of being told, one, that I cannot do it, or that my heart is beating out of my chest and I am like, you want me to do that? I'm scared, but I'm gonna do it. I think it's me. I talk to myself. I'm not gonna say what I tell myself. It's probably not the nicest. But it's me talking to myself and telling me, like, when have you failed and you didn't learn from it? Truly, like, anytime that I've been like, oh, that was an L for me, it wasn't a loss, it was a lesson. Did I learn from it? And what did I take away from it? And did I die? I didn't die. I learned that I got to see another day, so do it again. It is hard, it is scary. There's so many things that we do. Every day something could be scary for someone, but like, rise to the occasion. I think the best for me and what I always remember is whatever feeling I've had after I've been scared, I hold on to that feeling because I know that I'm gonna feel it again when I do something else when I'm scared. And that's rewarding.
Love it.
I mean, yeah, that resonates with me as well. I feel that no one ever regrets going out for what they wanted to do. No one ever regrets, like, I wish I didn't go out for my dreams. No one ever regrets that. It's regretting not doing and not taking the first step, and everything's a stepping stone. I remember giving and speaking to what you were saying earlier, owning your space, and that terrifies people. Sometimes when you walk into a room and you walk in oozing confidence, people are like, whoa, whoa, whoa. You know, it's like, who does this person think they are? And it's like, who do you think I am? I'm who I am, you know? And that's just what it is. I think when you give your power to someone else is when you start losing yourself. And I just remember when I was little, for the first time going to Mexico to visit my cousins and family and being 6, and I brought my Tonka truck with me because I love Tonka trucks, but also like playing with dolls. And they were like very machismo. And I remember being myself, and that terrified them. I remember being little, and me being myself was like, los niños no juegan con muñecas. And I was like, but I do. So, and they're like, los niños no juegan. And they were like very adamant about it. And I remember that terrified them. I was a child, and they were like, ¿Quién es este niño? You know, because it's like, who is he? It's who I was. And then when I started giving my power aways, when these neighbor kids, I wanted to play with them, and I brought my Tonka truck, and these kids were like, no vamos a jugar contigo porque mi hermana dijo que es mariposa. It is mariposa, so we can't play with you. And I didn't know what that meant, that negative derogatory word. And I was like, what do you mean? Butterflies are gorgeous. Like, they're fabulous. Like, what? And they're like, no vamos a jugar porque eres mariposa. And I remember my power was taken away. And I remember that my eyes got watery. And I didn't know why this scared me. I didn't know why they made me feel this way. I was so happy 2 minutes ago. They took my power away. And I ran back home, and as I was running back home, I felt something fly by my ear, and I turned around, and there was these rocks coming at me. And it gashed me right here. I still have that scar. And I was just bleeding, and I fell on the floor, and I picked myself up, and I remember they took my power away. And I ran to my mom, and I was crying. I was like, he's like, ¿qué te pasó? ¿Qué te pasó? And I was like, me dijeron que era mariposa. ¿Por qué me dijeron? And I was like, what does that mean? And I could see in her eyes, she knew exactly what it meant, but she wasn't going to tell me, but she knew that her son was different. And she's like, ¿y a ti qué te importa que te digan mariposas son bellas? ¿Qué te importa lo que diga la gente? And to this day, who gives a fuck what people think about you? Go and be your authentic self, because you're never gonna regret it. Stop trying to be something for someone else. Be your authentic self, and you'll never regret it. Because guess what? Butterflies are gorgeous and beautiful, and they're meant to fly, so.
Love it. Mabel?
I feel fear all the time, and I just keep going. My mind feels fear all the time, and I keep going. I read my lines. I do exercise. I do what I need to do, and now every day I say myself every day. Tal vez no esté lista cuando reciba una oportunidad,
Maybe I'm not ready when I'm gonna receive an opportunity.
pero nunca voy a llegar a pisar un set sin estar lista para hacer lo que tengo que hacer.
But I'm never gonna be ready to step on a set if I'm not
I'll never be on a set unprepared. I'll always be prepared
Yeah,
on the set.
always be prepared on set. Yeah.
So-
Thank you, Harvey.
I think when you feel fear, just keep going and prepare yourself and work every day and continues with discipline, with love. Be kind with yourself. Be kind with the people. We understand everyone have their own story, and everyone do the possible for make this story come true. So
There's more.
yeah,
There's more.
it's enough.
No, thank you. And I'm asking about this question because this is what is gonna solve the lack of representation. When we like really believe in ourselves and we really are proud of who we are and we fight for what we want to see on TV. And you know, aside from continuing to watch reels like quick, to watch shows and movies, which is really important, guys. That's why I started with look at their shows. Go like online, see them because it's really important. That's the way that we're gonna get more shows and TVs that better represents, and that's the way we're gonna be able to change the cultural narrative of who we are, not just in the U.S. but globally. So apart from that, what else can people do to support you guys and creators? Real quick, before we go.
I think supporting the Latinx House is a start because you all are really making a hub for us, and that's a beautiful thing. Like the fact that you're at Sundance, the fact that you're doing all of these things, this is a beautiful thing. We are showing up in these spaces, and it allows all of us to be there and to connect. And like I said, I think my thing is just like lateral, right? Making sure like we connect like this and not always just going like this.
Thank
I mean, yeah, ditto. And supporting, I always feel that artists support artists and artists inspire artists. So whenever I get someone reach out, they're like, I have this short or I have this script, will you give it a read? I'm like, if I have the time, I always make the effort because you don't know like what that means to someone, what that would have meant to me when I was in high school to have someone that I admired because there's so few of us.
Yeah.
I think speak up all the time, and whatever you do, use that opportunity for make a difference in every story, in every day, in whatever you need to do. In our characters, we try to make a little difference when how speak this character, how looks these characters, And I don't know, whatever you need to do, make a difference for us, for you, for the Latin community, for everybody in this world.
Thank you so much, guys. It's been like really, really inspiring to have you, and I hope that everybody got a little bit of wisdom from these incredible actors and human beings. I really appreciate you all of you. Thank you.